So Gibson have released 3 different versions of the most famous Les Paul in history, and that is of course the 1959 Greeny Les Paul. They've got so many things right with this Les Paul, but there's one major thing that in my opinion they've overlooked and it's annoying the crap out of me. So let's talk about it today, and yeah, let's get into it. So this iconic guitar is absolutely legendary, and for great reason. Peter Green, one of the most notable Gibson Les Paul players in history, actually bought the original 1959 Les Paul in 1965 and wrote some of the most famous guitar tracks in history, including like Albatross, Black Magic Woman. Then in 1971, Peter Green sold it to one of his disciples, which was Gary Moore, and the legend has it that he only paid $150. And then Gary Moore used it extensively for the next like 30 years. Now, not only is it one of the most unique and coolest looking original bursts, but in terms of the tone, it has one of the most iconic and unique tones that you'll ever hear from a Les Paul, because the neck pickup magnet was flipped and it gives you that out of phase tone when you use both the neck and the bridge pickup together. One of the best reference tones you'll get for this tone is the Blues for Greeny album that Gary Moore did in tribute to Peter Green. Almost all the way through the album, he's using the neck and bridge pickup together, and it just has that classic honk. And now Kirk Hammett from Metallica is Greeny's latest custodian. But yeah, a few months back, I saw that Gibson were doing like a collector's edition reissue of the Greeny guitar, only making 50 of them, completely hand-aged in the exact same spots by Tom Murphy, which is one of their main guys at Gibson. So everyone was mega excited to get their hands on one, and then they released the price and it was like $50,000. They were only making 50 of them. Granted, alongside that price tag, you got to go and have like a dinner with Kirk Hammett and hang out at the Gibson garage in America. The price tag certainly was quite ludicrous, and you know, obviously the average musician can't afford $50,000 for a guitar. Then fast forward a few months later, the Gibson Custom Shop came out with their version of Greeny. Again, people were excited, but the price was $20,000 this time. So again, it was out of reach for most people. And to be honest, it was, you know, again, the same vibe. It was completely hand relict in the same places. There was quite a lot of backlash again online because, again, most guitarists can't afford $20,000 for a recreation of a guitar. But a few days back, I saw a link posted to a brand new core model. So this is the new Kirk Hammett Greeny Les Paul that Gibson's just released. So many people have been outraged in the comments section saying that
you shouldn't put Kirk Hammett's name on it. It's Peter Green's, it's Gary Moore's.
But Kirk Hammett is the current custodian of this beautiful guitar, and he seems to cherish this guitar more than most people would. What's your guys' take? Should they have called it the Kirk Hammett Greeny Les Paul or the Peter Green or Gary Moore Les Paul? The core model is only being listed for about $3K, which is like $17K less than the custom shop version and $47K less than the, you know, the collector's choice version. So I've been a massive Gary Moore fan since I was a young kid. I actually had a very orangey Les Paul as a teenager, and it was like a trans amber finish, and I bought it because it looked a bit like the Greeny finish, though it was never quite yellow enough. And that particular Les Paul was great, but it didn't quite have the sound of my black Les Paul, which I use a lot. But I always sort of regretted selling that Les Paul. But when I saw this Les Paul listed, I was like, that's the exact look of the flame that my old trans amber coloured Les Paul used to have, but with that extra lemony kind of tint to the finish. The weird thing about these core models is they are really not consistent. If you look at the different ones out there already, I had like 6 to choose from, and this one was like 10 times nicer than the other ones I saw. Again, it's all down to personal preference, but this one has like the craziest flame I've seen, whereas some of the other ones just had like a more basic plain looking finish. But this AAA top is literally stunning. It looks like a high-end R9 or something. Now, as opposed to like the custom shop and the collector's choice version, this neck is not one of the scanned Greeny necks, so it doesn't feel identical to the old neck. This is just the classic 50s style. It's pretty massive, and I'm not used to playing one of these. My other Les Paul is like a lot skinnier, so it took a little while to get used to this, but once I did, I feel like I was able to play it a bit better than the other one in a weird way, even though it didn't feel like it. I listened back to it and I was like, I can't do that on my other Les Paul. So a lot of people like to hate on any new release that Gibson does, but I honestly think for this price, they've smashed this guitar. It's the pickups in this guitar that make it so special. They're called Greeny Bookers, which to be honest, I'm not sure if it's these pickups in the other two models. I'm not 100% sure, but it certainly has that classic nasally honk in the middle position. Here's a little sample of that sound now. And then on the neck pickup, it has that really nice, hollow, fat, warm sound that you'd hope and expect to get from a high-end Gibson. Now the bridge pickup really screams like that Gary Moore, like. It's not overly trebly, which some Les Pauls can get a bit like that, you know. So many people say the best test for a guitar before you even plug it in is to hear how it rings out acoustically. I'm not sure if you can hear that through this little mic, but that sounds massive. It sounds like an acoustic. That's literally crazy loud. Again, you know what it's like in the comments section. Sometimes you see guys getting into crazy fights, and one of the fights that I saw people getting into about this guitar is the headstock and the fact that it didn't include the Les Paul signature on it. But that was just a little nod to the original Greeny. But yeah, some people didn't like that. And also the fact that the knobs are mismatched, of course, is a nod to the original Greeny, and the input jack plate is black like the original. Now, I checked out with this guitar relatively fast because I didn't want to lose this exact flame, and I was probably right to do that because when I checked back, by that day they'd all sold out. But as soon as I checked out, there was one major thing for me that I thought, no, why have they done that? And it's the fact they've used the nitro satin finish as opposed to the nitro gloss. Now, it's not a big deal, but the faded look, I've never really liked satiny guitars. I always like the more glossy, like not crazy glossed, but just that slightly faded nitro look is cool. But this is pure like satin nitro. And if you look on the back, again, it's like completely satin. It's the same with the headstock. If you look at it in a certain light, it's completely smooth. Same with the actual finish. It's just not shiny at all. Now, you guys might kill me for this, but I'm looking at using this like virtuoso polish on the finish and just bringing back a bit of the gloss. It will never be like a true gloss, but in fact, it would probably be the perfect blend of like that glossy nitro and the satin feel. It'll be somewhere in between. But yeah, I'm gonna give that a go. I'm probably gonna leave the back and the neck as it is, but just do the headstock and the body. If you guys wanna see a video on that, let me know, because there's a chance I could destroy this guitar while doing it. I mean, it should be okay. I've seen, you know, countless demos of people doing it, and you know, you can't really go too wrong if you do it by hand. And yeah, I'm just gonna give it a polish up, make that satiny look go away somewhat, so it's a bit more reminiscent of the classic Gibson glossy nitro look. Anyway, let's put this thing through its paces now and play some minor blues, which, you know, you can't really beat some minor blues and a Les Paul. We have some crazy giveaways planned soon, so make sure you're subscribed if you're new. Let us know what you think to this guitar in the comments. If you don't like it, let us know. If you do like it and you think Gibson's actually nailed it, yeah, let us know as well. So thanks again, and we'll catch you soon. Cheers.